And joining me now, Democratic Representative Maxine Waters of California, ranking member on the House Committee on Financial Services. And Congressman, I want to start on what you see from the personnel, from what you're hearing coming down the pike on big things like an agenda, particularly on rolling back much of the financial reform that's been built up over the last few years.
Well, Donald Trump has said loudly and clearly that he wants to undo the Dodd-Frank reforms. That's the big reform bill that reined in a lot of the abuses of Wall Street. It was after the 2008 crash that we had that almost caused a depression. It really was a recession, and people lost their homes because of all of the exotic products that were put out there by the financial industry. And so we worked very hard to come up with reforms to rein them in, keep them from ripping off people, to make sure that people who were depositing in these institutions weren't having their money placed in risky trades, on and on and on. So he said he's going to do away with Dodd-Frank. That is very dangerous for this country. That would be a terrible thing for this country. Yes, what were you going to say?
Yeah, there's an irony here, of course, because in many ways he ran as this sort of populist insurgent against what he called the globalist elites, and he mentioned bankers when he talked about that. Is your sense that Wall Street and bankers are actually pretty happy about his election?
Oh, yes. I mean, it's a holiday for them. As a matter of fact, Jamie Dimon is about to be thought of as the treasurer for the United States of America. He would be the Secretary of the Treasury if left up to Donald Trump. I don't know what's going to happen, but I understand he's #1 on the list for consideration. As a matter of fact, I understand they're literally having a party on Wall Street because Donald Trump has embraced them, bringing them into his administration, getting their advice, and basically assuring them that he's not going to hurt them.
There's a broader domestic agenda that I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on. We've seen over years the Speaker Ryan has the Ryan budget. There's a bunch of things he wants to do. One of them is privatizing Medicare. He's talking about doing that now. It's not something Donald Trump ran on. In fact, it's something it appeared he and Hillary Clinton both opposed. How likely is that? And do you Democrats have a strategy to fight against Medicare privatization?
Well, let me just say this. You can't trust anything that Donald Trump has to say. One thing today, another thing the next. But when he was out campaigning, he assured our seniors that he would do nothing to cut Social Security or Medicare. As a matter of fact, it's one of his big ads that he played in Pennsylvania. And at one of his rallies, I just looked back and I saw him absolutely assuring seniors that he would do nothing to cut Medicare and Social Security. Now, we have Speaker Ryan, who's making it very clear that this is a top priority, that they're going to not only cut Medicare, but they're going to privatize it so that they would be giving out some kind of vouchers and saying to people, you take this amount of money and you go pay for insurance, and what you can buy, that's what you'll get. We're not going to have Medicare as we know it, and he is working with Donald Trump to do it. Donald Trump is now saying, oh, I'm going to modernize Medicare. Well, that's just another word, a code word for cuts. So you can't trust anything that he has to say.
Is your anticipation that the legislative agenda you're going to start seeing flow through Capitol Hill as of next year will be essentially the Paul Ryan, Mitch McConnell legislative agenda that in many ways just predates Donald Trump?
Yeah, we're going to see that agenda that is going to be embraced by Donald Trump. As a matter of fact, almost everything that he has said, in the last few days, he's changed his mind in some way. Even when he talks about building that wall, he was going to build that big, beautiful wall. Now he's saying, well, it maybe have some fencing in it. He's backing up on that, even on Obamacare, where he said the first thing that he was going to do was going to get rid of it. And now he's saying, well, the pre-existing conditions portion of it, or that portion that allows 26 years old to stay on their parents' insurance. We can't trust anything that he has to say. And on this Medicare, this is very dangerous. I feel so bad for all seniors out there who believed him and thought that he would not touch it, that he would protect it. And now they're faced with the Donald Trump who's now saying, well, I'm going to work with Ryan, the speaker, and we're going to modernize it in some way. What does that mean? What does that mean? It means that he's on the Ryan agenda to privatize and to give the vouchers.
Yeah, I should note, just what you said before about Jamie Dimon, it's unclear. We have conflicting sources about whether he's standing in for Treasury. But what is clear is the language you're referring to on the new transition.gov site, the greatagain.gov, does talk about modernizing Medicare, and it very clearly echoes the language of Paul Ryan. So Representative Maxine Waters, thank you for your time tonight. Appreciate it.
You're so welcome. Absolutely.